In the mid-1990s, hip-hop was on fire. It wasn't just music anymore, it was a movement, a megaphone for anger, pride, and truth. But somewhere between the rhymes and the record sales, competition turned into combat. Two coasts, two labels, and two young icons found themselves trapped in a feud that went far beyond lyrics. It became a real war, one that changed Los Angeles and hip-hop forever. It started with Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., two men whose talent was as explosive as their temperaments. In 1994, Tupac was one of rap's biggest stars. He was outspoken, political, and unpredictable. Biggie, from Brooklyn, was the East Coast rising king, confident, charismatic, and backed by Bad Boy Records. Everything changed on November 30th, 1994, inside the lobby of Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan. Tupac was ambushed, shot 5 times, and robbed. He survived, but he was furious. Within hours, rumors spread that members of Biggie's circle might have known something. No proof ever surfaced, but the damage was done. Trust evaporated. A few months later, in February 1995, Tupac was sentenced to prison on unrelated assault charges. Behind bars, his paranoia deepened. He believed he'd been set up, that people he thought were friends had turned their backs on him. In interviews and letters, he named names, not the police, but fellow rappers and executives. He accused Bad Boy Records of betrayal and hinted that East Coast artists were plotting against him. Then, in October 1995, Suge Knight, the powerful head of Death Row Records, posted Tupac's bail, a staggering $1.4 million. Tupac walked out of prison and joined Death Row, throwing himself headfirst into a war that was already brewing. By early 1996, he was back in Los Angeles, recording at Death Row Studios in Tarzana. His anger spilled into music. In tracks like Hit 'Em Up, he called out Biggie and Bad Boy directly. It wasn't subliminal anymore. It was personal, raw, and broadcast to millions. Across the country, Biggie was recording his second album, Life After Death, while insisting he had no part in the 1994 shooting. But one of his earlier tracks, Who Shot Ya?, recorded before the Quad attack but released after, reignited speculation. Fans read between every line, and the streets took sides. The media turned the rivalry into spectacle. Magazines ran headlines like East versus West, Rap's Civil War. Radio DJs hyped the feud. Fans debated it like a boxing match. But in Los Angeles, it didn't feel like a game. Tension seeped from studios to neighborhoods. By mid-1996, the lines between rap and the streets had blurred completely. Death Row's entourage included real-life gang members from Blood-affiliated sets, while some on the East Coast had ties to Crip-affiliated crews. Concerts were canceled, bodyguards traveled armed, and every public event felt like it could turn violent. Then came the night of September 7th, 1996, in Las Vegas. Tupac attended a Mike Tyson fight with his Death Row Records entourage. After the match, Tupac and members of Death Row assaulted a Southside Crip named Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand Lobby, an attack caught on camera. Hours later, at a red light on Flamingo Road, a white Cadillac pulled up beside their BMW and opened fire. Tupac was hit 4 times. He died 6 days later on September 13, 1996, at age 25. The shooting stunned the world. For many, it felt inevitable. The feud had gone too far, but it wasn't over. On March 9, 1997, the Notorious Big was leaving a party in Los Angeles when another drive-by erupted. He was shot and killed at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax, just blocks from where Tupac had once recorded. Biggie was 24 years old. His murder remains unsolved. Their deaths ended an era, but the ripples didn't stop. The feud had become larger than either man. It had pulled in record labels, gang members, fans, and entire cities. What started as competition for airplay turned into bloodshed that echoed across Los Angeles for years. Afterward, artists and executives began reevaluating what had happened. Snoop Dogg, once caught between both camps, called for unity. Dr. Dre left Death Row to build Aftermath Entertainment, determined to keep music above the chaos. Magazines that once profited from the rivalry began urging peace, but the damage to Los Angeles' image was deep. For years, outsiders saw the city not just as the home of Hollywood, but as the capital of a deadly music war. Even law enforcement admitted that hip-hop and gang politics had become intertwined in ways few had anticipated. Meanwhile, the myth of Tupac and Biggie only grew. Fans worldwide saw them as martyrs, proof that the system crushed black artists who dared to speak their truth. Conspiracy theories flourished. The government, rival gangs, record executives, even the artists themselves faking their deaths. None were proven, but all kept the story alive. And just like that, the feud became folklore. It spread across the globe, not as violence, but as identity. Young rappers in London, Paris, and Johannesburg adopted the imagery of East versus West, sometimes without realizing the real people who died behind it. In Los Angeles, time eventually softened the edges. Murals of Tupac and Biggie began appearing side by side. Two faces once divided by rivalry, now united by tragedy. Music shifted away from coast wars toward collaboration. But for those who lived through it, the memories remain sharp. Because the feud was never really about geography. It was about power, pride, and pain, all magnified by a new, unfiltered music industry that thrived on conflict. The war that started in lyrics ended in silence. Two of hip-hop's greatest voices were gone before they reached 26, leaving behind a question that still haunts Los Angeles. What if it had all just stayed on the record?